Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this case 3 items that may end up saving your life one day. Number 1, of course, as always, firearms. You want to get it ahead of time. The moment that you need a gun, that's not the moment to go buy one. Usually there's a waiting period depending on exactly where you are. It involves a certain investment, but most of all it involves something that a lot of people don't actually consider, which is training, actual knowledge on how to use firearms safely for defense and proficiently. Those are key aspects. Number 2 is what I'm wearing right now, right? This is a headlamp and I'm turning it on right now. This is something that I explained over the years in several blogs and videos, and in Street Survival Skills there's a chapter dedicated on power outages, right? The ability of using a headlamp, it frees up both hands for fighting, for defense, for repairs, for cooking, for doing stuff. If you have both hands available, that's a huge asset. If you don't have something that you can just put on your head, then one hand is always going to be needed so as to point in whatever direction you need. So headlamps, very important. Knowledge on how to use a firearm, also very important too. Finally, number 3 is what you see right here, which is a kerosene heater. Now, I've mentioned these over the years many times. Reasons for having these, man, I was just reminded of this because of what's happening in Ukraine. 30% of the power grid is currently down. Winter is coming, and there's a lot of people that are going to be having a very, cold winter in this part of the world. And I always try to be very empathetic in regards to, this could happen to a number of people. I mean, I've gone through this without having a war, just because of the harsh economic reality, which, by the way, if you want to learn how to survive after an economic collapse, you have Surviving the Economic Collapse, specifically about that topic. Now, when you go through stuff like this, you realize that power outages, even though it's not because of a war, you still have to deal with them for years, and they're rolling blackouts at the most inconvenient moments, and problems with the grid in general. So having something to keep yourself warm, your family warm, that's crucial. Now, a lot of people don't even know about these things. It's kind of like old tech, right? These days people think more about a power generator or something else, or even a natural gas heater. Kerosene heaters, man, this is where it's at. It is super reliable, it's very safe and very efficient. Now, what is it? Well, basically what you see here, over the years I've posted a number of models similar to this one in Amazon. I'll check if there's something right now available. Sometimes they're not as easy to find. This is a little bit of an oldie but goodie model. This is a kerosene moonlighter. It's no longer in production. These are made in Japan. These are very good. Not only does it heat, which is the main function of a kerosene heater, you can also cook by putting a pot with water on top of it. And besides that, it has a third function, which is lighting. It works like a lamp, 300 lumens, that's what the manual says, and yeah, I guess it's about that. It has a mechanism by which it uses a battery to ignite it. I don't bother with that. I just use just a lighter, and I think it's a good habit to incorporate. You want to learn how to use these things. They're not all that complicated. They're actually quite simple, but you want to learn. This model has a hybrid wick, which uses fiberglass on top, so you can let this wick burn dry. Burning dry is a method by which you let the heater burn through all of the fuel, and finally it will burn through the gunk that is on the wick, leaving it quite nice and clean. So you just light that up, and there's not a whole lot of adjustment. I mean, you can move it a little bit, but these things are really intended so as to stay in a fixed maximum efficiency position. And you have different models. I have dedicated videos to this. You have the radiation heaters. This one is I think, yeah, if I remember correctly my terminology, this is a convection model. So the radiation one has like a big tube that lights with a bright red color. Those are quite nice too. This one though has that that function of lighting as well, which can be quite useful. I mean, it's a matter, in my experience, because over the years in more cold climates, I've used it when it was needed. It has that almost like a campfire feel to it. Whenever everything is cold around you and dark, having something that's like a hot spot in the house, right, where you can you have that lighting, you have that warm yellow light, and you have that actual warmth coming out of it. It's very comforting. It's very relaxing to have that peace of mind that even whatever is going on around the world, as long as I have enough fuel for this thing, it will keep on heating, lighting, illuminating, and even cooking to some degree. That is great, man. That is, I'm surprised it's not talked about more. It's not mentioned more in the preparedness community. Kerosene heaters, man. I have a couple of these, and I would never want to part with either one. I've had more over the years. I got into this weird collection of heaters at a time. If you check some of my older videos, the blue flame ones, those are quite cool. Those are nice models. But something like this is very nice. If you check below in the links, not only will you find my books, which of course I always recommend my work, but I'll also leave links if I find for similar models in Amazon. You just want to get yourself one of these. You don't need to be an expert on any of this stuff, just the heater and a good supply of fuel. Common question, how long does this last? If I remember correctly, this can go for 10 hours with a full tank. It could be, depending on the model, 6, 10, 12 hours, depending on the model, but it is by far one of the most efficient ways of converting fuel into heat, light, and useful things for people during emergencies. Guys, that's gonna be all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time. Take care.